Welcome to the Midnight Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Easton Bennett, alongside my fellow co-host, Tyler Sinden. We are both entrepreneurs who are learning, growing, and building our own businesses. Our goal is to share our experiences and knowledge to help you grow and become a successful entrepreneur. Strap in. Before we get started, if you have any questions or things you'd like us to cover, you can email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. And if you'd like to join our business Discord, where we talk about wins, business problems, or general questions, shoot us a message and we will get you in there. Tyler, early morning episode. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I do like this early morning setup. I don't know if maybe doing it before or during the week, doing some early morning setups. But yeah, I'm just recovering from my run yesterday. Things are going good. I was a lot more sore this morning and I was worried my knee was going to be messed up because I've had this injury after my half marathon. And it was in the same spot this morning that I was feeling it. I'm like, oh man, that's not good. So we'll see how it goes on my run today that I'll be doing right after this. But yeah, what about you?
It's going good. I don't know if I love the morning episode as much as you do, but that's because it's a Sunday. If it was a weekday in the morning, I think I'd be more obliged. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I was regretting it more than I thought it was going to be bad. So I think it's fine.
It's like the afternoon for me. Basically, I've been up for close to 7 hours now. So
yeah, not same.
I feel like you just got up. I know. I saw you text me at like 3:30 my time or 3 or so a.m. my time, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's gonna get like 8 hours of sleep and wake up, roll out of bed, and film the podcast.
Well, that's because I was supposed to film another podcast after this for 3 dudes, and they would not answer whether we were going to film in the morning. So I was literally waiting up and waiting up until I heard from him and never heard from him. So I texted him and I said, okay, we're not filming in the morning because they wanted to film at 9:30 and we're filming this at 9 o'clock my time. And I was like, we're not filming. We'll film Monday night or later because I have to film the concert tonight. And if I would have had to film this at 8 a.m., I think I would have been a little bit more upset, but 9 a.m. is a good sweet spot.
What are you filming tonight? Any specific? Is it just the whole thing or is it a specific person?
Eric Church concert, but I'm literally just filming the crowd. So I'm in between the stage and the railing and just pointing at the crowd. So
who's hiring you?
It's the Fair, but it's the Fair's like advertising company. So it's like it's from the Hess job we were on. So yeah, it's that connection. And there's a bigger company that's doing the whole entire fair, but they need an extra shooter for the concert to shoot the crowd stuff. So should be easy enough. Just pointing at all the people that are standing in the front row, getting their reactions, and then going from there.
That'll be a tough one.
Yeah, toughest. I know, right? I'm starting to learn I don't really love filming live events. So
really?
It's not like I'm super itching to get out there and film it, but it's easy money. So
it's a good thing you already got experience filming concerts. Yeah,
exactly. I've had my fair share of pointing around at crowds. So it shouldn't be too difficult. And it's pretty, I think I got to be there at 6 tonight. And then the concert starts at 8 and the concert's done by like 10:30. So 4 hours of work, pretty easy. And then I'm filming the same thing on Tuesday night, not a concert. It's the Indian horse races, I think it is. So that's not obviously the crowd. That's filming what's actually happening, which will be a little bit more difficult than tonight. But yeah, two pretty easy nights. And then shoot out an invoice. Can't complain about that.
There you go. Collect that paycheck.
Exactly. What is new since the last time we've chatted, Tyler?
Eddie continues to sell for me. I think this was more so an effort of what I wanted to do with Eddie, because my main goal with Eddie was I'll create content for free in hopes that I'm going to tap into your market and that they reach out to you and be like, oh, this is really good. Who does this for you? And then he just relays that to me. Oh man, I didn't do a mic check before on my audio. I hope it's not doing anything bad, but yeah. So some guy ended up reaching out to him and he's like, who does your videos? I'd really like to connect with him. So he reached out to Eddie. Eddie reached out to me. He's like, do you think you'd be able to do this? And I was like, yeah, I feel like I'd be able to do it. And one thing that I thought about this morning is I don't think he realizes I'm not local in Tampa, because he was talking about it and that might be an issue. But it seems like he has some good interest there, and he might only be asking me. So we'll see how it goes. We're gonna. I want to run through with it with you afterwards, see what you think, and I was just gonna send it to him, just all my brainstorming ideas. And the reason I got this idea is from Alex Hormozy, where he basically says like over deliver on free shit, and then it's just gonna basically make them feel like obligated to use you, or they're gonna see all the value that you can provide. It's like, wow, this is what he's doing for free. Imagine what I'll get when I pay him. So that's the main reason why I did want to do that, and just like go above and beyond with the amount of work that I'm putting it up front. And that's what I told him I would do. I was just like, I'll do a little bit of research, because he will basically, what he wants to do is create like a little charity foundation thing, and he wants to do the 4x4x48 by David Goggins, and that's what it would be behind. So I was just trying to brainstorm ideas. I was looking at up different foundations for what to use for processing for that, because he was asking about that. So I just tried to come up with as many ideas and do as much research as possible, and then I'm going to send that to him, let him know what he thinks. And yeah, I feel like, so the other interesting thing about that is because it's not like for a business or anything. It's just kind of like his little passion project. He's trying to raise awareness for mental health, and it's just going to be like a nonprofit. I don't even think he's going to, maybe he will create a business, but I think it's just going to be all personal and just out of donation. So he's like, I want to make this, I want to pay you, but it's like at the same time, like it's not, if I say I want $10,000, it's like that's not going to really make sense for him in the terms of like, because how much money are you really going to raise for this? It's his first time doing it, and then he does have goals of building it out and potentially having a team with it. So yeah, that's one of the things.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, mainly hitting on the endpoint there, where it's more of a personal brand type deal. And sorry, I just got a message right now that someone wants me to go outside, but I'm not going to. The personal brand type deal of what their goal is behind it and how motivated they are to actually accomplish that, because people always say these things in the beginning, which we're kind of going to get into this for this episode, is hobby into a business. They say all these things they want to do, but once they start doing something, they're like, oh man, this is a lot more work. But if he has experience in the business world and like he wants to turn this into something, then it's a little bit easier. Does he have, or what's his background?
I don't think he wants to turn it into a business. I think he just wants to do it for raising awareness, because like I said, for mental health issues. And I don't want to get into personal details around his why, but he does have some good reasons as to why he wants to do it. And so it's not that he wants to turn it into a business, because I think he does really well for himself. He's high up on like some bank or something, and from what Eddie says, he's wealthy, he's well off. So I don't think he wants to turn this into a business. It's more of just like a side project, and it's a once a year type of thing. So I don't know if you know what 4x4x48 is. It's every 4 hours you run 4 miles for 48 hours. And that's something that it's like a little event that David Goggins, not little, but it's like a event that David Goggins created, and it's just to push yourself. And that's basically what it is. So he just wants to do it to raise awareness and create or collect donations, foundation, or maybe he's going to be donating it, or he's going to start a foundation. I'm not exactly sure what his idea is there, but yeah, so it's more so just in terms of raising awareness for mental health.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, interested to see how it goes. The first year might be a feeling out process, and then maybe if you guys get in a groove, then it's a thing you can work on yearly. But yeah, we'll have to brainstorm that after this pod.
Yeah, and then another thing that I was looking up, because I'm trying to get my first client, so I was looking up different ways to find and land your first client. So I was watching a bunch of different YouTube videos, and I ended up coming up with some interesting ideas that I never really thought about before. So one of them was signing up on freelance sites. So I signed up on Fiverr, Upwork, and Bark. Haven't really put too much effort into that. I still got to fill out or finish my profile for Fiverr. Another one was, what was it? So the one I remember for sure was white labeling your your services. So go into, say, a digital marketing company that doesn't offer Google ads and say, hey, you can use me and I'll do all the Google ads for you. And then it made me think of other ideas that, when I was watching the YouTube videos, I could do. And then I think the other one is just cold outreaches, is just cold DMs, whatever. And the good thing about, or one thing that I heard about that is, hey, I'll do this for a month. All you got to do is front the money for the ad spend. And if it goes well, you can keep me on and then we'll work out a contract then. So it's a good way to get your foot in the door. So it was an interesting thought. And then the same thing with the white labeling yourself on going out to a digital marketing company. That's actually a really cool idea that I never really thought about before, because the one guy that I was watching he's like, I had 1 or 2 clients and I didn't really need to do anything else because they kept giving me clients. So it's like, you don't got to do anything. You just got to find that one company that's going to hire you. So that was really interesting. And that's something I never really thought about before. But the reason he creates like this community of other Google ad experts. So I was thinking about joining that as well.
Yeah. I mean, can't help when you're getting information from other sources. That's definitely true. The only thing I'll say about, I tried to do the Upwork Fiverr thing, and it's almost like when you see those people on TikTok and Instagram saying, oh, you can make so much money drop shipping. That's how I feel it is on Upwork and Fiverr. Maybe you'll have better luck than I did, but I went through that a ton, sent a bunch of job proposals and everything, and I didn't even hear back from people. So hopefully it goes better for you. That was obviously years ago. Maybe it's changed a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I feel like those things are hard to get into because the top sellers on Fiverr have thousands and thousands of reviews, and there's a bunch of sponsored posts. So it might be hard to get to the top, but that's not saying you can't do it, Tyler. I know where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, I know they always say with like those sites, it's a race to the bottom and everyone's just trying to compete. So you really got to position yourself. And I think the main thing is just getting that first client, just so I can have like those testimonials, build out the portfolio, and just have some social proof behind of what I do. And I think that's the main thing with like those sites. I don't see it as a long-term play. I see it more as just trying to get my foot in the door and land a first client or first couple clients. But yeah, I'll touch on the last thing there once you go, but yeah, what's going on with you?
Not a ton. I'm back from Vegas again. Had a horrible airport experience. It was literally the dumbest thing ever. When I was going to Vegas, the flight was delayed an hour. So you get into Vegas at like, gosh, I don't even know, 12:30 Vegas time, which is 2:30 my time. It starts to get a little bit late. And then on the way back, our flight was delayed 4 hours because the air conditioning computer wasn't working on the plane. So we got on the plane, waited on the plane for 2 hours. They deplaned us, deboarded, whatever you want to call it. Sat in the lobby of the airport for an hour, and then we got back on the plane and then finally left. So I ended up getting back to Minot Friday morning at like 4 a.m. when I was supposed to get back at like 12:30. And yeah, just kind of the biggest annoyance ever. I hate being delayed in airports. It's the biggest bitch ever. Plus, then you get home at 4 a.m. and then when you're planning on getting up to work a little bit Friday, your day gets pushed back a little bit and it becomes a bit of a nightmare. So that's one of the annoying things I was going through. But other than that, only 2 real updates. When I was working with Bismarck Gentleman, he believes that he landed a big contract that we'll be working on, which is around 80K. So that's pretty exciting. I don't know what role I'll have in that, but I'm sure it'll be something as far as production and then maybe a little bit of post-production goes. And then he's also coming to Minot to meet with a client with me on a deal that he thinks he might be able to sell, which it's good that this partnership is building more so into him helping me do the selling process. And if he is just bringing in clients like that, it's not too difficult to just give him a thumbs up and say, all right, let's do this. So that's kind of the big thing. And then last thing is the nightmare client that I had a couple months ago has been texting and calling me that he said he wants to do another contract. And honestly, I'm not up for that. So I am going to officially be doing retainers only as far as that communication goes. But yeah, he's texted me and said, I would like to sign on another contract. And he's just going to have to find somebody else to do that with.
Maybe up your prices.
I'm gonna throw him a ridiculous price if he wants to do it. Then I'll figure it out. But I'm gonna outprice him. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what to do, but I mean, you just seem set on this guy.
Oh, dude, you met him.
Yeah, I think you got to set client expectations.
Yeah, I just
And
don't. He's so cringy. I don't even want to.
Yeah,
it's hard to work for him when you don't really believe in the product either, the business.
Yeah, that's
so
tough. It's like being a salesman and you don't believe in the product you're selling.
Yeah, it's like I think you're a snake oil salesman a little bit, and I would never pay you to do what you're doing. So then it's like, do I really want to promote this?
I wonder if he's gotten any jobs since then, or what he's been up to. Maybe you should see how he's doing.
Maybe
you could get him on a retainer, because then whenever he does have those speaking gigs, you'd be able to go out there and then film him, and then you'd have that lined up, or not really lined up, but you'd have all those events.
It sounds good in theory, but man, not worth it unless it's a big ticket.
When he's speaking out there with our boy, or my boy, Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, and he's up on stage with them, I think that'd be a sweet connection.
Be a sweet story to have.
Exactly. Just got to suck it up.
I'm not going to say like, hey, I don't want to work with you. It's just like, hey, here's the number. If you can afford it, cool, let's do it.
Yeah, I get that. Whatever.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to touch on was this quote that I heard the other day, and it really got me thinking, where Steve Jobs, it was like in a motivational video, Steve Jobs goes, every morning I would look myself in the mirror and ask myself, if today were my last day, would I be happy with what I'm doing, with what I'm about to do today? And that really got to me. And he says, like, if my answer is no too many days in a row, then I got to do something about that. Got to change what I'm doing. So it really like made me think, and it was like, man, if I look myself in the mirror today, would I be able to say I'm happy with what I'm about to do today if today was my last day? And it's like, sure, it's morbid, but like, I think people got to start thinking like that, and people think they have more time than they actually do, and we can't get more time back. So I think it was a really good quote and somewhat of a realization. And it was like perfect timing too, because the book that I'm reading, so I have 3 books that I'm currently reading, and I went to the one, and it was literally perfect timing, because the chapter that was coming up was on goal setting. And then it was like everything lined up perfectly, because it was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense, because I think that's what I'm lacking, is the vision and direction.
I'm trying to figure out where to touch on there. You went from the book to the Steve Jobs quote, but yeah, I mean, where are you at as far as if someone asks you that question? Man, it is pouring rain outside. I can hear it. Can you hear it?
No, I can't.
It is whipping out there. Anyways, sorry.
What
what do you think in the morning? Are you excited about what you do that day?
I think there's certain aspects of it, but then there's a lot of the other aspects of it where it's like, man. And I was talking to the group that I went to Arate with a little bit about this, because that's who sent the video. And then I was just thinking to myself, it's like, I just feel like I'm working to collect a paycheck, and that's all it is. And our society is built on this dream, I guess you could say, where what you're supposed to do is go to work, collect a paycheck, come home, repeat. And when I was watching the video, I love seeing people like grinding and trying to build their dreams. And that's what a lot of the videos were, is like Steve Jobs is like creating this massive company, and he's like spending late nights working on design, or working on like going through papers, and like that's the stuff that I feel like I desire. And I know that's a really big scale, like Apple or Tesla, like they have such a huge impact, but like I feel like that's where I want to be. And like maybe it's like tempering my expectations back a little bit, but at the same time, it's like you always got to think big. And yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with thinking big. It's just you got to find that thing. because
Yeah.
like, and that's what we're going to get into, your hobby into a business. Tesla, electric cars, and Apple, the first ever touch phone, big changes in the world. What is your change going to be?
Yeah, figuring that out. But yeah, I love seeing the grind, and that's what I was like seeing a lot of. And I feel like I'm just kind of stuck in this cog in the matrix, and I'm just, living every day same.
You'll be thrown into the matrix in 2024 when you quit your job, and then you're just going to be like, oh shit, now what do I do?
I'll love it.
Tyler, let's pivot into this week's news story. Electric flying taxi factory. And where was it? Sao Paulo, Brazil? Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil. Yeah, it's in Sao Paulo, Brazil, is where they plan on assembling this plant. And basically what it's going to be is an electric small helicopter that can fit up to 6 passengers. So I know the other week you sent me a potential news topic that we never really ended up covering, of a company that got the AOK from California for electric flying vehicles or electric flying cars. So it ties in a little bit about this. I feel like I've seen this before back when I was in college, and it doesn't seem like there's been much progress there. So I don't know how much progress. Like in this article, it says they don't even have a prototype yet, but they plan on releasing it as early as 2025. And it's like, man, that's like 2 years away. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to do that. So it's like, where are you even going to do it at? So yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the electric flying taxi factory? Or
it's starting to feel more so. Remember, I wasn't alive, but 70s, 80s, 90s, when people are like, oh, when we're in the 2000s and 2010s, we're going to have flying cars and it's going to be like this cool looking city. It's starting to weirdly get to that point where, like, in the next 15, 20 years, there might be some flying taxis and shit like that, where it's not maybe as much of the crazy things you see in movies like the flying cities, but there might be some aspects of it, which is kind of weird to me to think about.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so tough because I feel like I've heard it from Elon talk about it. There's so many regulations around it. Like with flying cars, I don't know how it's going to work, because you're just going to have cars right above you with regular people driving them, unless everything's self-controlled, which is, I feel like, a little bit scary to think about, because then it's all controlled by, say, this one company. And I think that's maybe a part where it gets to the point where it's like one government type of thing, and then it starts to get conspiracy type theory. So it's tough to think about like everyday people just flying right above your head, driving a car or flying in a vehicle. So I don't know. It's an interesting reality to think about, but definitely
I wonder how that's going to work with, like, is it air traffic control? Is that who you have to talk to now? You're going to have a special license for that unless everything's automated. I don't know, man. That's going to be it's going to be a big change. I remember even the people talking about changing to all EVs and how crazy that would be. But now if everyone's going to be having a flying car, how do you even not run into each other?
Right. Like there's no roads up there.
Is it like a jet ski on a lake? You just kind of honors?
Yeah.
Slow down when you got to? I don't know,
but
man.
Even then, there's like so many people that are bad at driving and they still run into you somehow in like a massive ocean or a lake. And it's like, man, how bad of a driver do you got to be? But then at the same time, it's like you got to be flying above these buildings. Say you're in major cities like Toronto, New York, you got to be flying above the buildings. Like for this one, the flying electric taxi is a little bit different because it's a helicopter type of vehicle, and it says its first few times are going to be with pilots, but it's going to get to the point where it's all self-piloted. So it's a little bit different in that regard. But if every single person starts to have these flying vehicles, then it gets to the point, it's like, how does that work? Because then you got to be flying above the buildings, or I don't know. But it's weird. It's interesting to think about too. I just thought about this because Elon's going the opposite direction with the Boring Company, and he's going underground, not above ground.
Yeah, the tubes in the ground.
Yeah. So that's interesting to think about, because I feel like the tubes in the ground is more safe and secure and more practical maybe for everyday use, because then it's just massive tubes and then you're in your Tesla and then it just shoots you hundreds of miles an hour to your destination or whatever it is. So I feel like that's a little bit more practical than flying, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. There's got to be some benefit to flying, but I'm excited to see what it turns into. I don't think I'll be in a flying vehicle anytime soon, but if other people are ripping
You were
around
just
up there,
in one, my man.
yeah, but not like a small helicopter taxi or a self-manned whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just stick to 30,000 feet in my 4-hour delays.
I feel like I would do it. I would try it out.
Yeah,
But not like the first one. I'd be like, after the testing phase is done, it's flying in cities, and then it's like maybe I'm in New York and I want to get across the city. I think I would test it out.
yeah.
That'd be
Once
pretty
it's a
fun.
thing and it's standard, then I'll try it. But what if it's still like, people, oh, another crash in the air today? I'm like, I'll just let them figure that out, and then I'll do it.
I don't. If there's crashes in the air, I don't think they're going to continue doing it because it's going to be falling on people, falling on buildings, falling on houses. You're probably not going to be falling in the middle of, I don't know, Nebraska, where it's a bunch of cornfields. It's going to be, these are going to be in major metropolitan cities like New York and Toronto, maybe Tokyo or Sao Paulo, where it's transferring you from building to building to try and free up congestion in the city.
Yeah, that's where it's like, I don't know, man. If one crash and then a freaking wing comes and falls on another car, that's gonna look pretty bad on the news.
It's going to look very bad.
Yeah, but we'll have to keep updated with that as far as how that turns out. Tyler, let's move into this week's topic. We're going to be talking about turning our hobby into a business. Kind of our thoughts around that, some tips, advice, because we've both gone through that. I've gone through that. Tyler's currently going through that, so it'll be an interesting dynamic. But to start it off, Tyler, do you believe, that finding something you're passionate about, you always hear that from these business gurus, that if you find something passionate about, you'll never work a day in your life. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like it's tough to actually get to that point. And a lot of times what you're passionate about isn't going to make you money. And people aren't going to come to you and be like, oh, he's passionate about that, I'm going to support him. In a sense, it might happen because you're going to have a lot of belief behind that project or product or service, because you're like, this is something I'm really passionate about. This is something I'm really good at. So you're going to obviously believe in that product or service. I think we were talking about this earlier, where it's like sales and like you actually believe in it. So having that belief is key. But I think it's more of a matter of, you're always going to work. It's just a matter of your level of enjoyment and fulfillment that you have for it. So if you have something that you actually enjoy doing, it's going to make it a little bit more fun. But at the same time, what I've heard is a lot of the times you don't go where the passion is, you go where the money is. So that's like a route to go. But for me, yeah, it like trying to create a life you don't need a vacation from, and it's like living on your own terms type of deal. So yeah, I don't know. What about you?
I believe that with most of it. I almost think it's impossible to create a life you don't need a vacation from, because at the end of the day, I'm passionate about video. I like video. You like what you're doing, but it's still work, like you said. So there's still days that do suck and that you don't really want to do what you're doing. And maybe in the beginning, and maybe you can touch on this, Tyler, maybe you're in this phase where you're really enjoying what you're doing. You're feeling fulfilled. It's enjoyable. But there are times when things do suck, or you don't want to work on them, or it's a roller coaster of, okay, I'm doing a lot of stuff I really like, but now I have to do this stuff I don't like as much. And it's still work every single day. Whereas creating a life you don't need a vacation from, if you could, go to the beach for 5 days and do literally nothing, but just relax. That is, maybe this is just a personal thing, but I don't think there's a life where I could, maybe there is out there, but a life where I could remove that, where that wouldn't be enjoyable from time to time.
Yeah, obviously it would be enjoyable from time to time, but I feel like you create what you're doing, you love so much that you truly don't want a vacation from it, because like you love how much you do it, like the impact you're having, or like I see it a lot with Andy where he posts on his stories about his house and his business that he's creating and all that stuff. And it gives him so much fulfillment because he enjoys it so much. The life that he's created, he loves that. So I think that's more so what it's saying. Yeah, sure, it would be nice to go away for a weekend or a week to a beach or go travel somewhere. Sure, that would be nice, but you're creating something that you truly like and enjoy and you have fulfillment in, and it brings you like you don't want that vacation because what you're currently doing you love so much. So that's what I think.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's like a gray area where, because I'm sure when people like that are coming up, like obviously we're not to the point of where those A-list celebrities are or A-list business owners. I wonder if it gets to be like that once you are at the point where you can delegate the shitty tasks and you're at this point where it's like, okay, I enjoy doing this every single day is building the business. Whereas a lot of times,
Yeah.
like I really enjoy building the business, but there's days that where I'm in my business right now, I have to edit. Okay. I don't like editing as much as I did, but one day when it's, 10, 15 years down the road and I can just focus on the tasks that I really enjoy doing, then I think my mindset might shift. But I feel like you have to be willing to get to that point before you can create that life where you don't want a vacation from.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The beginning stages are the worst part, and that's where you got to be willing to stick through the shit to be able to get to the other side where you do have that life that you do enjoy. And I know Andy talks about this all the time where I think his first 10 years in business, he never paid himself. So obviously that shit. And then at the same time, it's like the good old days because like when you look back on it, it's like, man, that struggle was honestly fun. But like in the moment, you don't think about that. And you think like, this sucks. I want to quit. I don't want to do this. I don't know why I'm doing this. So I think it's just getting past that shit point. And then once you do make it, once you do stick with it long enough, you get to that point where you've created this business and something that you truly love and enjoy. And there's different seasons in business too. You're not always going to be blissfully happy in this moment, and there's going to be those winter seasons that you don't enjoy doing. So it's a roller coaster, man. That's entrepreneurship. It's going up, it's going down. Or you could live, this is from Ed Milet where he talks about it. It's like entrepreneurship's a roller coaster, whereas you could live your life on the merry-go-round where you just go in a circle and do the same thing over and over and over again, and you just collect a paycheck. And that's what he talks about. Whereas entrepreneurship, it's lots of ups, lots of downs.
Yeah. And that's where, obviously you get the benefits and the rewards of entrepreneurship, but that's because you are risking the ups and the downs instead of the merry-go-round. So for as far as going back to the hobby and job, you're in the point where you haven't taken money from any clients. So you're more so in the hobby phase. I know we got a quote on here that says, once you take money from your hobby, it's no longer a hobby. It's now a job. What are your thoughts on that whole premise?
Yeah, it's really interesting because right now I don't have anyone that I have to, I don't know what the word is. Like, I don't have anyone that I have to direct to or
Report
I
to.
don't know. Yeah, report to. And say if I do start getting clients, then I have to actually meet their standards, meet their requirements. And then I have to understand like deadlines and all that stuff. Whereas right now, I'm just doing everything for myself. And I don't know if I texted you this the one day, but I know I texted at least one person this where I woke up, I did my normal stuff, but then after it, I ended up editing a podcast and doing a bunch of other stuff. And it was like, man, I've never felt so happy in my life doing what I just did. And unfortunately, I didn't get paid for it. But at the same time, I had so much fun doing it. And it was like, man, I actually feel fulfilled. I actually feel like I did something and I feel accomplished. And it was all before like I ate breakfast. And it was like, man, I feel so happy right now, like what I just did. And so that was like a really cool realization that I did. And when you do start collecting money from it, so say if I do start collecting money, I might start losing the enjoyment of it. And once it becomes a business, and say for examples like painting and writing, it like you might find enjoyment in painting or writing or just it's just something that you do for fun. But if you start taking money from it, now you have like a requirement that you have to paint. You have to paint to get that paycheck. You have to write to get that paycheck. Whereas before, you were just doing it for fun. You were just doing it because you truly enjoyed it. But now you're like, okay, now I have to make a living off of it. Now I have to actually make money. And it changes your mindset a little bit. So it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, it's a weird transition to go to because I went through the same thing with video. When I started, I was doing YouTube videos and I was doing stupid videos on Instagram, and it was just fun to make them. And it's like, oh, here's this cool new editing thing I came up with, and it didn't matter. There was no deadline for the videos. No one was critiquing them or giving me revisions. I didn't have to have the pressure on me of this has to be perfect because someone's paying me X amount of dollars for it. So it's an interesting transition when now you switch that hobby to a job where it's, okay, now someone's paying me $2,000. This video better be good. I can't just lollygag it. But it's still cool that you can create a video, something that you started out doing as a hobby, really enjoying, to now someone's paying you to do it. And you do have to take a little bit more time. There's a few extra steps to make sure things go right. But I think at the end of the day, it can still be a hobby that you enjoy while also getting paid for it.
Yeah, definitely. It does change your mindset a little bit, but I do think there is that possibility of going from it because I I don't know, they might be different, but when you the example I like to think about is hockey players. And once you get to the professional stage, and then all of a sudden you're making millions of dollars, or say NFL players, it's like, man, that's the dream. That's like what we always dreamed about growing up. And it's like, I don't know if their mindset really shifted. Like you hear a lot of times people say, like comedians or even hockey players or professional athletes, they'll be like, man, I'm living the dream. Like I get paid to do what I love. So there is that time too, but at the same time, it might feel like a job because now you're required to show up. Now you're required to go to the rink and practice. Now you're required to go to the games and show up because now you're getting paid millions of dollars and you have to show up and actually have to do it. So it's a little bit of a interesting mindset shift.
You have to have that sweet spot of, I want to show up and do this. I want to, like, I know I'm required to, but I don't want, like, I'm not going in just because I'm required to. Like, I actually want to go finish this video because what we shot was so cool and I'm excited to get this story together. You know, you want to go and finish this work because you're turning the client's business from 5 million to 6 million, whatever it is. So you have to find that sweet spot of you wanting to do that thing. And it's not always going to be that way because there's times when you have to do stuff that just pays the bills. But as far as the professional athlete thing goes, I was watching that new show Quarterback, and it was weird to hear Patrick Mahomes, and he said they were going on one day and they said, oh, we had to work that day. And I'm like, you had to work that day? Like, they call it work? Like, yeah, I got to go play a football game. We had to work that day. So I was looking at that and I was watching, I was like, oh, that's a little different mindset. So it is interesting that maybe that is the mindset that they have too.
Yeah. And another way that you could phrase it as well is, I get to do this, as opposed to I have to. And
then those self-affirmations you just say every day, I get to go make videos today. I get to go make videos today.
Yeah. I feel like it gives you a more grateful appreciation for what you're about to do.
I get to film the Eric Church concert tonight.
Hell yeah. Do you like Eric Church?
I'm not a big country music guy, so I could go without it, but he's all right, I guess.
Yeah, same.
Good country music artist. Yeah, so pays the bills, man. I get to go film tonight. But yeah, I mean, some tips and advice from turning the hobby into a job, some advice we can give you since we went through it, is that you have to realize that you may never look at your hobby the same. I think that's one of the big things. It might start as a hobby, but let's use painting, for example. If you were this great painter, actually we'll use my uncle. He draws, right? Like he just pencil and paper. He used to draw these sweet portraits like Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan and, you know, Babe Ruth. He has a couple of his drawings hung up in the local Buffalo Wild Wings. And he used to do that all just for fun. And then he ended up signing a contract with Walmart and Target, I want to say, where he is drawing and painting shower curtains and garbage cans and that kind of thing. So it's like a turtle, and then it's like a monkey blow drying its hair, stuff like that. So now he's required to draw and make and paint and make these things, whereas before he was just doing it on his own. And since he has made that transition, I haven't seen any of the crazy drawings that he's done. I haven't seen any of the, huge life-size prints with a microphone in his hand stuff. And now it's more so, oh, here's a monkey that goes on a shower curtain. So just realize the transition might be the same, but you have to find joy in whatever stage you're at.
You lose the creativity juice in it because now you're no longer doing it because it's something that you like, or it's something that you're just doing out of creativity. Now you're doing it because it's required.
Yeah. Which is...
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's a blessing and a curse, but do you want to do it and make money, or do you want to do it as a hobby for the rest of your life? Which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, not every hobby needs to turn into a business. There are things you can keep as a hobby, right? Like there's a lot of things that I do that I just keep as a hobby. I don't want to turn them into a business. I just want to do them for myself and then just enjoy them.
What would you, so this is not really getting off topic, but getting off topic, would you ever take money for gambling, or I don't want to call it gambling, but like playing craps or teaching poker or anything like that? Because I know that's a big hobby for you.
Like turn that into a business, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't
think you would look at it differently.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would feel like I would have to do it then. And that's one of the things that I like to just enjoy doing myself. Plus, like I like making videos. That's kind of the business. If I didn't have a business idea now and I was working a job where I was trying to find something to turn into a business, then I would start looking at those hobbies and start to think, oh, maybe that's a route I could go, where I teach people how to play craps, or I teach people how to play poker, or whatever it is. But now that I have a job that stemmed from a hobby, have a business that stemmed from a hobby, I think I can just leave that one as a hobby.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking about this because I know fantasy football. I love playing fantasy football and just doing research for that. It's like, I was just thinking about it. It's like, would I have a different appreciation and thought towards fantasy football if I made it into a business? Where right now it's a hobby that I enjoy doing, but would my appreciation and love for it go away if I made it into a business where I'm studying 12 hours a day, learning about all the players and trying to help other people out? So I know you're a big gambling guy for your hobby. So
I feel like it would still be enjoyable, but it would add so much more stress. Whereas right now, if you went today without studying for fantasy football,
no, there's so much stress. You get to the fantasy football playoffs, oh man, it's fired up.
But yeah, I mean, but if you go a day this summer where you're like, I didn't look at anything, there's no issues about that. But if your whole life and your job is fantasy football, and then you go a day where you're like, I didn't do any research today, I didn't make any blogs for the people that are paying me, whatever it is, then it adds so much more stress. Whereas if one day you don't want to look at fantasy football right now, you don't have to. But if it's your hobby one day and you don't do it and you have to, then it's like, fuck, I got to go in there. I got to write this blog that I don't want to write about this player I don't care about. Whereas I think there's always a distinction between the hobby and the job. There's always going to be some added stress and some added not want to from time to time.
Yeah. It's that requiredness where you have to show up.
Nobody wants to be required to do anything. They want to do it on their own.
Their own terms. That's what
just like when I was living growing up with my parents, they'd always tell me like, you unload the dishwasher or clean your room or whatever it is. It's like, I would have done it, but now that you told me to do it, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah, I hate that.
So that's how I look at it. Like, client texts me, hey, edit my video. I'm like, I was going to edit it, but now I don't want to. Since you told me to.
That happens so often.
Yeah. But yeah, I think another thing to look at is that you can't go into these things doing it for money. So you can't be like, oh, I'm going to turn my gambling hobby into this business so I can make, $500 $500,000 a year. You have to do it just because you want to help other people. Like if we use craps, for example, I want to help other people be able to play craps when they go to a casino, or I want to teach them the rules of it so they know what they're doing, or poker. If someone wants to get into poker, I want to be able to help them. So you go into that thinking, I'm doing this so I can help people, rather than I'm doing this so I can make X amount of dollars in 2 years. Because I feel like when you go into it with that mindset, it's way harder.
Yeah, I think a lot of people go into it, or more specifically, they try and find their passion and they try and turn that into a business. And I don't know, maybe it is possible to do it, but then at the same time, like you're saying, the money might not always be there. And I think that's one thing that you need to differentiate yourself, your mindset, I guess, from, is if you're going in for the money and the first few 5, 10, however many years is, you're not, I don't know. Can you hear
Attack
the dog
Attack of the dogs? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, like, because the money might not always be there. So then it's like, you really got to have like that. I guess that ties back into the passion, where you have to have the passion to be able to stick through the shit, or maybe it's just the willingness to, or resilience to not quit, because money's not always going to be there.
Yeah. And if you look at it, this is one of Gary Vee's big fallacies, or not fallacy, that's the wrong word, but one of his big talking points is that, would you rather make $80,000 working at some office job, or do you want to make $50,000, talking about Pokemon cards? Where at the end of the day, you might be making less money, but if you're not chasing the money, if you're not chasing the status, the wealth, being famous, then you might be content making that amount of money, because you get to talk about Pokemon cards every single day, and you get to make videos about Pokemon cards, and you get to join these Pokemon card communities, where that might be way more enjoyable than trying to chase the money, where, okay, I'm making this Pokemon card business and I need it to be $500,000. It's more enjoyable just doing your own thing and maybe getting paid a little bit less, but you're enjoying the process and you live a happier life.
Yeah. It's good to find that nice balance where you do get to live a happier life and do something that you actually enjoy.
Yeah, it really goes down to, just enjoying your day-to-day life. Do you enjoy, and it goes back to what you said in the beginning of the episode, full circle. And when you wake up in the morning, are you enjoying what you're about to do that day? And if that's a hobby, for me, it's videos. Am I enjoying that I'm going to make some videos today, or try to sell some videos, whatever it is? The overarching answer is yes. There's obviously days that I'm like, man, I don't really want to shoot this video. It's for a boring client, whatever it is. Excuse me. But there are days where you wake up and you're like, yes, I can't wait to finish this video, or I can't wait to shoot this thing. So overarching, you need to find that thing where the answer is yes, I really want to do this, and my day-to-day life does look better because of it.
Yeah. When I was thinking about that quote, it's trying to find something that you actually feel like there's a purpose behind, and that you're actually creating an impact. And I think in a lot of things you can find it. Like for you, you're finding that passion or that fulfillment in delivering high quality videos. So that's what you deliver. So it's just, some people might look at it the wrong way, where it's, oh, I'm just making a video. Whereas other people might look at it as, I'm delivering a high quality video for a client that's going to be able to help market their business professionally. Yeah.
And I think going into that, using that as an example, I was never passionate about, like, I really love making videos. I just really like movies. So the transition into the video world was, maybe one day I'll be making movies and I'll be even more ecstatic and enjoy that way more than I am right now. But for now, the stepping stone is, the video world, which is in direct correlation with movies. So your hobby doesn't necessarily need to be exactly what you like to do. If you're like, I love painting, I need to paint for a living, maybe you can, create your own brand of paintbrushes and sell those. Mm. It's not directly painting, but it's surrounded around your hobby.
Yeah. That makes me think of something like a lot of TikTok videos where people will build the following, say for around food. Maybe they go and travel and try out different restaurants. Then they might not get paid for that, and they're continuing their hobby, but then they might have say a brand deal where maybe a company will give them ownership or whatever, and then they can start promoting a specific, say, spice or something that's related to the industry that they're in, I guess.
Yeah, or they start selling recipe books or cookbooks or something like that, where it's them the business isn't directly tied to them traveling and eating food, but they might be selling a product that is semi related to it.
This makes me think that does that then make it required for you to have to go and make those videos consistently? Because now it's like, now I have to sell this. Now I have to continually go out and make these videos.
Then you got to build your brand. So if that ties into building the brand, then maybe.
Yeah. But if you already got the brand.
Everything ties back together. I don't know, man. It just becomes a mumbo jumbo.
Yeah. It's all makes sense.
Trying to look at our list here, Tyler. We've kind of touched on a lot of it. Anything else you want to touch on here?
I guess you don't have to turn your hobby into a business. And if you do turn your hobby into a business, it's probably going to give you a different mindset shift, and you're going to look at it differently than you once did when you were just doing it creatively and you had full range of doing what you were doing. So you don't always have to transition into a business.
Yeah, don't feel pressure to do that. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably wanting to, though. So, I mean, make sure to take that leap of faith. Just make sure you think about it before you do. Make sure you're always looking at it from a third person point of view from time to time. Take a look. What does it look like? Am I doing things right? Am I doing things wrong? How do I feel? Do I enjoy doing this? Do I hate doing this? And then you'll have a better outlook on what you're actually doing.
Yeah. So I think it does help, especially through those shit times, if you are doing something that you enjoy, or if you just have the resilience to go through those shit times and not quit. But you want to get into your business idea here?
Oh man, I'd love to. This is actually an assist. My girlfriend came up with this one, and basically, you know how when you drink out of a straw, which I'm drinking out of a straw right now, that when you suck air out of a straw, I guess it gives you like wrinkles on your eyes. It makes you the process of the air going through there makes you age quicker, which I've actually seen a lot before. So the idea is that there's some sort of straw with like a flipper on the bottom.
How factual is this?
It's very factual. I'll Google it right now.
Because isn't that the exact same thing as breathing?
No, because the process of that process, where breathing is just more natural. Right. Sucking from it. Does sucking from a straw cause aging? It isn't the straw itself that causes wrinkles, but the motion of pursing your lips regularly, like that.
There you go.
Will encourage the breakdown of collagen in elasticity more quickly. So the idea is to have some sort of straw where you don't have to do that motion, where maybe the liquid gets trapped at the bottom and then there's like a little cap. And then I don't know how you'd get the water into your mouth, but I want to remove the sucking motion.
Yeah, you gotta come up with some like motor or something where it just automatically, maybe it's like a button on it, and then you just like, and it just like goes up for you.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Or it's like this would be a real big hassle. You like take it and then like the bottom closes and then you just like do this. It's just like a little cup. That would defeat the purpose of having a straw, but
yeah, maybe it's not a de-wrinkle straw idea. It's something, maybe it's like a cup.
Yeah, I think we just invented a cup. You just put the liquid in the cup and then you just pour that.
I've never heard of drinking this way.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe a button where you hit the straw and then it just shoots into your mouth. And you have to not do this. That won't be that's maybe the route I'd go. You just there's a button you fill it, and then there's a button you shoot it up. And then it takes away
the straw is not really thin, so you have to purse your lips so tight. It's thicker.
It's like the size of this microphone.
Maybe not that big, but like at the point where you're not like squeezing your lips really tight.
Like the size of a cup, and then you put your mouth around the cup and just tip your head back.
Exactly.
Everything leads back to the cup. We don't have any issues with the cup.
Genius idea.
But yeah,
we got to get this in motion.
Yeah, this is the one that I'm actually going to act on the quickest out of all of my ideas I've had on the show. So
Sweet. Can't wait.
Tyler, anything else? You better. Anything else for episode 47?
No, that's everything.
Awesome. That's episode 47 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. If you have any questions you'd like us to cover or answer, email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. If you found value in this content or found this entertaining, share this with a friend or post it on your story. If you really enjoyed the show, we'd love a rating and a review wherever you're listening. Talk to you guys next week for another episode of The Midnight Entrepreneur.
There's no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. Nelson Mandela.